Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Grace. Today we're making brownies. It is Mrs. Grace's daughter's birthday and this is what she's asked for her birthday cake today. So I'm using a recipe like I always do. This time it's a bit different. It's been handwritten. It's something from my husband's family and I'm just going to follow that. So what I need for this recipe is some butter, some vanilla, some flour and cocoa. So cocoa is what makes it chocolatey. Some sugar and some eggs. Okay, this thing here is a sifter and I'm going to sift these two things together. It just takes the lumps out and helps it mix up nicely and make it fluffy and delicious. Okay, when I measured out my butter, I've used this thing here. This is a scale. What a scale does is it measures. So what I had to do is put my plate on it first, and then at the back of my scale I can change, readjust the numbers on the front, a bit like a clock, and I measured it out until it was 100 grams. Okay, so first the recipe says that we need our butter and our sugar, our vanilla and our eggs, and we're going to pop them all into this bowl. So I'll get the butter. You can go in there first. This is a spatula. It helps get the bits off the plate so we don't waste any of our ingredients and we can use them in our cooking. Remember last time Mrs. Grace was telling you about the eggs, that sometimes you can get a yucky egg in your egg carton, so we want to make sure we don't have yucky eggs. So I'm going to crack an egg into the bowl, into the cup, and just check it. It looks nice, smells okay. So it goes into the mixing bowl. And I've got to do that 4 times because it needs 4 eggs. If I was to pop that straight into the mixing bowl and it was a yucky egg, it would waste all my ingredients that were already in there. And sometimes that can just happen. It's just the way it is. Because eggs are a natural product, so we have to be careful. Oh, a bit harder. Crack it open. Okay, and I save these eggshells and I give them to my mum and dad because they've got chickens and they make a special thing for their chickens to have as part of their food to help them make new eggs that are strong. And now I need the sugar. So with the sugar, I have to use a measuring cup, okay? It needs to be 2 cups of sugar, and this is a measuring cup, and it is a 1 cup. So I need to fill that up 2 times. When we're filling up a measuring cup, we need to make sure that our ingredient that we're using, whether it's sugar, flour, a liquid, it can be a liquid of some sort, that's okay, that when we get it to the very top, when it asks for 1 cup, it means all the way to the top. Okay, so there's 1. I tip it in, and I've got to do that 1 more time because it wants 2 cups of sugar. Quite a lot of sugar, isn't it? But they are delicious when they're done. And this is a sometimes food. This is a food that we only eat on special occasions. And that goes in. Okay. I'm just going to pop in a splash of vanilla. Okay, vanilla is made from a plant, but they make it into a liquid. It smells delicious. I love the smell of vanilla, and it adds a lovely flavour to your cooking. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in there, maybe a smidge more because I really like it. There it is there. It's really got it's a strong sort of amount, strong type of product, so you have to be careful or ingredient to not go too crazy, otherwise it makes it too vanilla-y. So now we're going to just mix those together. We're going to mix just a little bit first to just let it combine. So this is called combining the ingredients. That just lets it mix together just a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it up a bit and make it go faster. We have to do this until the ingredients that are in the bowl become kind of creamy and smooth. At the moment you can still see chunks of butter in there, and that's okay. It's because it's a bit of a cooler day as well. If this was being made in summer, our butter would be softer faster, but because today is a bit of a cooler day, the butter is taking a little bit longer to combine. It was already soft, it wasn't hard out of the fridge. I put my hands on the bowl sometimes because I've got warm hands, and that warmth of my hands onto the bowl helps the butter melt just a little bit, soften up just a little bit more. So I'm going to turn it up 1 more bit. Watch it mix, mix, mix. Okay, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm just going to use my spatula to scrape down the sides because ingredients kind of get stuck on the sides. and we want it to be well combined. We don't want any bits that haven't been mixed in very well. And I'll scrape off the edges like that. I'm going to mix it up just a smidge more. So while that's mixing, Mrs. Grace is going to sift the flour and the cocoa. Okay, so the recipe says that it needs a half a cup of flour and 3/4 of a cup of cocoa. So I've got 1/4 of a cup here. Okay, 1/4 is a small amount when something might be broken up into 4 parts. That's what the 4 means. 4 of these, 4 level ones of these equal 1 whole one of these. Okay, so we need to have a half a cup of flour. So to make a half a cup, I need 2 of these. So I pop it into my flour. Now we need to make sure that it's flat on the top. There we go. So we've got 1 and 2. Mrs. Grace is making this one with special flour that's gluten-free. That means that it hasn't got an ingredient in it that hurts Mrs. Grace's tummy when she eats, because Mrs. Grace can't have gluten. Okay. And I need a half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa. So here's our cocoa. Cocoa has also been grown as a plant. They process it up and make it into this delicious powder that we can use to make our food chocolatey. So level again on the top, we've got 1, 2, 1 more, 3. And I'm sifting this to help combine the 2 dry ingredients, the flour and the cocoa together. And it also then helps when it goes into the mixer to combine well. So I'm turning, and it has a wheel sort of idea in the middle. And then underneath, it's got fine little sections that don't allow the lumps to come through. And we want, so I'm just going to give a little bit of a shake up there. Bit of a bang. Helps to get it all the way through. Okay, there we go. So now our job is to, I'm just going to get a spoon out of the drawer, is I'm going to slow the mixer down, and we are going to add the dry ingredients. Okay, so this is now what we call wet ingredients because it's wet. This is dry ingredients because it's dry. So I just pop it in. We don't have to measure it. This spoon I'm using is called a tablespoon right now. I might just pop it up a little bit faster. Add 1. Just get it to start combining a little bit. I can add another one. What the mixer does, it helps it to mix and make it a nice smooth consistency. It's adding a bit of air to the mixture, which will end up making it a bit of a fluffier mixture. If I have it on too fast when I add dry ingredients, the dry ingredients go and they all just puff out. Nearly done. We've got half of it in now. Add a bit more. Now I've turned my oven on and I've got the oven warming up. When you're baking, you need to add what you're making into a warm oven. It helps it turn out nicely, and it's just what it needs. It's just when you cook, it's just what it needs. Okay, it's getting a bit harder to scoop off the plate now because I'm getting to the bottom. Might just find a better one. I'm going to just turn it off. I'm going to lift it up like that, and I'm just going to chip it in. And tap, tap, tap to get it off there. Okay, I'm going to click it back down, and let's whiz it up and get it to all combine. We'll do it for a little bit longer, and then I'll use my spatula and I'll wipe the sides down to make sure that we're combining, everything's getting combined and there isn't any chunks left on the edges. You don't want that. If only this video could have smell on it, it would smell delicious. smells chocolatey and vanilla-y. Okay, I'm just going to wipe down the sides. Get all those ingredients back into the bowl to mix up with all the other ingredients. And give it another quick mix. I'm going to just turn up one more, make it a bit faster. Okay. Looks like it's all mixed up. I can't see any of the butter on its own. It looks like it's all mixed up with the cocoa and the flour. So I'm just going to switch it off. Okay, I'm going to use my spatula and I'm going to wipe off what's on the beater because we don't want to waste that. Remember, it does have raw eggs in it, so it's probably not the best idea to lick the beater because they do tell us that raw eggs can sometimes hurt your tummy, so you've got to be careful not to do that. Okay, scrape it all off. Okay, I think that's a pretty good job. I think we've got most of it off there. So I get to take the bowl. I'm going to come over to this side. Now I've already got out 2 baking trays. I normally make it in one big one, but today I'm making it in 2 because this will be the birthday cake side, and this one because we're adding something else to the birthday cake to make it birthday cakey, and this one will just stay as the brownies. So my baking paper is what this paper is for. It stops my brownies from sticking to the pan. So when it's all cooked, I just pull it out and it doesn't get stuck. Okay, so I'm going to pour. Thank you. I'm just going to pour it in here. I just had to swap sides with my video man because it's a bit hard to pour it out on with my other hand, I find. I'm just going to pour out a bit. Now, this is where you've got to be a little more gentle because if you're too rough or too hard with the brownie mixture, it knocks all the air out that you've just whizzed into it with the mixer, and that makes a bit of a hard brownie. We don't want that to happen. We want it to be soft and moist with a bit of a crunchy top and super delicious. I think we need a bit more in there. So I'd normally bake this in a bigger pan because it fits a whole bigger pan. So if you're making it at home, you can make it in a bigger one. It can be made any shape you like. If you've only got a round pan, you put it in a round container, a round baking tray. If you've only got a square one, it doesn't matter, as long as you evenly spread it around so this side cooks the same amount of time this side cooks. If this was thicker over here, it would take longer to cook, and you'd have one side that was a bit too crunchy. Okay, now put what's left I'm going to bake into this tray here, and this is what, oh look, there's a little bit of butter at the bottom of that. Can you see that? The mixer didn't quite get it. So what I'm going to do is just quickly give it a bit of a mix up at the bottom. That's okay. It just needs to be blended in. There we go. Okay, so this brownie mixture is going to be a little bit thinner than the other one. So this one's going to cook faster. So as I'm cooking, I'm going to have to make sure I keep my eye on the oven to make sure that I take it out a bit sooner than the one that's in this pink tray. It hasn't got as much to cook, which means it will cook faster. I do have clean hands, but I'll use a knife I would usually, if this was just me and the kids eating it, I'd probably just use my finger because it was clean to wipe that off, but use a knife, it's probably a better idea. Okay, so now we need to pop it into the oven. So as you can see, the oven light's on, which tells me that it's on. It is hot. I'm going to put them both on the same rack, and they need to cook for about 40 to 50 minutes, okay? And then what I'll do is I will halfway through come and check them, turn them around so they can cook evenly. So when I'm finished and this is all done, I'll take a photo and show you what it looks like. And I hope you have fun trying to make brownies. Bye.